Adam in North Carolina. You are on with Jamie and Phil. Hey, what did you want to talk about?
So I have a short intro, and I want to hop right into my question. This is amazing I guess I'm kind of adjunct to the community. I'm a deist, but I'm often fighting for good thought and good reasoning, and that's kind of my intent with this call. We actually kind of got the debate between Matt Dillahunty and William Lane Craig, but it came in the format of Miklos Jacko. I don't know his name that well, and I hadn't heard of him before this. And he kind of privately recorded himself talking to William Lane Craig. I don't know the whole story. He's posted on his YouTube channel. And he went over everything about the killing of the Midnights, or where God had them slaughter the women and children. He went over slavery. He went over inerrancy in the Bible. And William Lane Craig just fell over himself. Like he even said, slavery was a form of indentured servitude, which I was like, oh my gosh, even William Lane Craig uses that apologetic. And so
I think there's nothing more.
That's my main point. That's my opening. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to take Phil Ferguson to task on something here. So
wait, so your opening was about
William Lane Craig getting owned? I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, yes. And I think that is actually an incredibly persuasive thing to people, because oftentimes they'll go and they'll see William Lane Craig wax pseudo-philosophical about the foundations of the universe, therefore specifically Jesus died on a cross for your sins, and find it somewhat persuasive, and seeing him fumble, falter, and provide shitty things that have been countered effectively 100 times.
Yeah, I think almost everything William Lane Craig says falls in that category.
Yes,
shitty things to say.
Some of it is harder to address because it's random. What does that have to do with Phil? Or did you talk to him earlier in the week on Truth Wanted? Or is that
Phil said something? Yeah, Phil said something on Truth Wanted that kind of caught my ear, and it came up last time he was on the Atheist Experience, I think, with Tracy, and it was kind of that philosophical things are kind of just spinning your wheels, and I do agree. Like the problem of other minds, the problems of induction, the problem of hard solipsism, they're spinning wheels arguments often to me too. But I've seen people, especially many atheist YouTubers, like the Raging Atheists, not even confirm the law of non-contradiction. And I feel sometimes, Phil is very, very educated in some areas. Sorry, Phil. But when you lost me when you say things like, we shouldn't even concern ourselves with the Kalam, because I think all atheists in their toolbox should know how to easily counter the Kalam.
I think it's reasonable to know how to counter the Kalam. I won't disagree with that. But I will stand by the position that it, as an argument in and of itself, is worthless. So, sure, we should know how to argue against a worthless argument, but that doesn't make the argument any less worthy or any more worthy, I guess.
If the Kalam is valid and sound, should we listen to it?
No. Do you mean in terms of concluding whether or not a God exists?
And that's why I think it's worthless, because
that's not the conclusion.
I don't think it's matter of fact, you're referencing when I was on with Tracy, I think that might have been 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And if you recall the listener, I granted him victory with the Kalam, and that there is a all-powerful force of some kind for a rhetorical purpose to see what do we do with that, and how do you get from an all-powerful deity or being of some kind to God, Allah, the Christian God, Yahweh himself. And the caller kind of melted down because he never won the argument before and didn't know where to go next. And so even when I concede what I think is a silly argument, all the way to the point of having a deity, what do you do with that next? It just like I once had someone ask me, how do you debate with a deist? And it pops into my head because you are declared a deist. And my response was, why do you debate with a deist? What's the point? If you are truly a deist and you think that there is a being that created something and then no longer gets involved with our lives or our reality, congratulations. Have it. I don't care. Doesn't change anything.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is I don't live my life as a deist. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
As a deist, I don't live my life by any measurable direction to honor or do anything with this deity. But I think one of the things, as I've immersed myself more into the philosophical realm, I think the Kalam's easy to take down even from premise one.
Agreed.
When they say that which begins to exist has a cause.
Yeah. So I'm waiting for the part where we disagree because I love what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, no. That's why I'm not super mad at you. I just wanted to call in.
You could be. I can hang
I
up.
appreciate what you do with all the financial stuff, and I think you need to. My financial knife set that I use to do my financials is not as good as yours. So I think we always need to learn and grow. My problem might be more with that other atheist YouTuber I mentioned earlier who got owned by evolution sales guy, and I was like, no way. This is like, it's just. Well, people don't even know what the law of non-contradiction
I have the luxury.
Law of identity.
It's all good. I've been an activist for so long that I really often have no idea what's going on in the movement. I don't watch YouTube videos. I don't listen to most podcasts. Matter of fact, it was a really fun adventure for me in the last week, knowing I was going to be on multiple shows to try to get 2 or 3 episodes under my belt so I didn't come in as an ass and just go, what do you want from me? What do you guys do? I think it's common courtesy to know the show that you're going to be on. But so someone got owned. That's cool or not cool. But
in defense of, I'm not sure who you're talking about. EF is a difficult human to have any kind of honest discussion with. When I say honest discussion, I mean not necessarily that he is lying or misrepresenting his beliefs. It's just that he's not there to discuss ideas. And I want to bring that's something difficult to deal with. The reason that I agree with Phil so much on, what value does the Kalam have as an argument is that at its core, it is not based at all on empiricism or scientific skepticism or the things that produce results that we can verify are true. At best, you can justify it from a perspective that rationalism is a good way of understanding the world, which is something that is less reliable than empiricism. If you have arguments about what exists in reality and detach those arguments from reality, you've lost the script.
And I agree. That's why you can't say anything about what the Kalam finally gets to at the end. But it's really, you can attack the Kalam in different ways with premise one by saying it's a problem of induction.
You can.
Because we can say we don't know for certain that induction works because there may be something in the quantum realm or at the Planck time that we don't quite understand yet. So for those playing the online drinking game I saw in the chat, we don't really know that premise one is true. We have a good reasonable belief. So the structure of the argument might be logic and sound, and or valid and sound, but I'll end with this one last thing, and it brings it back to what you were saying about bad actors. So I'm going to tie EF to William Lane Craig. That's a great connection right there. When I heard William Lane Craig speaking to this guy, and he immediately went to that slavery is indentured servitude, and it was not like American slavery. This is what I hear from every apologist online. It's like they've never read the verses that says, the year of Jubilee does not apply to non-Jewish slaves, that there's prisoners of war, that they're trading with foreign nations to get slaves, that you can beat your slaves, that you can pass them down. It's like they've never read those verses.
Or the history of American slavery at all. Because that was the justification offered. In fact, what's interesting is eventually the South had to deviate from slavery as described in the Bible because there's something about, well, if you have descendants, even if they're descendants between you and one of the slaves you own, they're still considered your descendant. And in the South, they wanted, the children that were born in those circumstances to not be able to inherit or claim any rights.
Right. Well, very good, Adam. I have never had
Thank you guys very much.
a pleasant conversation with someone that disagreed with me. Thank you for calling.